Okay. Let me stop this. Stupid. Anyway, hello everybody. How? My name is William. I'm sorry about that. Someone was trying to call me a little bit, but I stopped it anyway. Anyway, I was going to show you something anyway, because someone showed me anyway. So yeah, if someone finally showed me that Steve Hilton's in the Epstein files, well, okay. Well, thank you for showing me that, but there's nothing I can do about that. Look, I can read. Let me read this for you and see what it says. So dear Jeffrey, just in case of Woody Allen interested of the David Cameron's office, Rohan Silva, the head of Prime Minister's policy, and Steve Hilton, the director of strategy, if he is in London anytime soon, they would be welcoming him to number 10. Best wishes, Eon. This was on December 7, 2011. Yeah, he wrote a funny of this, but Steve, I already have meet up with Wood Allen. I doubt suppose that someone knows them. Do you? They just do the Downing Street a visit and then help save paper. Do you need to print this email? Okay. So this is from Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Okay. So you try to. Okay. Well, I didn't know about that until now, but there's nothing you can do about that now anyway. Right now, Steve Hilton is now trying to be our next governor against Xavier Becerra. Right now, I can read about Steve Hilton being in the Epstein files, later, when it's a good enough time. Right now, it's not a good enough time to read about this, but I'm glad you tried to show me about this anyway. So, to me, this has nothing to do with what he has to do with our state right now anyway. So the point is, it would be better for me to have him than and I'm talking about this guy here, Xavier Becerra. Now I know he's going by the Spanish version of it, Javier, but I'm probably not pronouncing it right because I don't speak Spanish very well. I can only, my native language is English, and that's it. I don't speak Spanish very well. So I'm probably not going to say the name right, but I know. If you want to call him Javier Becerra, that's fine. But I'm just going to call him. Just call him Xavier Becerra because I speak English. I don't speak Spanish very well. So, no offense, anyway. So this guy is also advancing the general election, also along with Steve Hilton. But why? And why did it take longer for Steve Hilton to advance the general election? Well, I know why. It's because Chad Bianco was splitting the Republican vote. That's why. Yeah, I know. Steve Hilton, this guy here, he asked Chad Bianco to drop out, right? Yeah, I know. But instead, Chad Bianco, what he did do, instead, he backstabbed Steve Hilton and he just stayed in the race because he thought he could win anyway, but he did not. So, what is Chad Bianco going to do? Probably go back up being sheriff. That's probably what we're going to be doing anyway. Even though I heard about him being the worst sheriff in California anyway. That's what I heard about Chad Bianco anyway. I didn't even know about this. Anyway, until now anyway. But that's what people have been telling me anyway. Well, even though it is true that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are both against the social media ban, and that is true anyway, but Steve Hilton is the one who is advancing to the general election, and Chad Bianco's not. So, and it's all right anyway. it is true that Chad Bialco can try again in 2030. So, look, I'm not against Chad Bialco, but you know, I believe he needs to do better. I think he needs to be better. It's a sheriff. That's why, you know. And also stops backdabbing people instead of being a, you know, cause that's what I call being a stupid rhino anyway, and that's just not good. Because I'm a Republican myself, and I'm not trying to be that way. But we need to talk about this guy. So, this Democrat, Xavier Becerra. Okay. Well, okay. Well, let's see. Why? Because I want to show you something. Okay? Now before we can get to that, let's show you this one. Alright. So Steve Hilton is trying to show people what's been happening during the it's been happening in the Tijuana River. I know the sewage pollution crisis. I know the toxic sewage. Alright, I know. So both Steve Hilton and Xavier Becerra, they both went there. But do you know who's the only one who's going to take care of it? I know they both say it's going to be a declared state of emergency. I know that. Why is Gavin Newsom haven't been taking care of this? I don't know. I think he's just so stupid, right? All he cares about more income taxes, and he also cares about mass surveillance. You know, the Digital Age Assurance Act, when it got signed into law back in October, and the social media ban, and also censoring 3D printing. That's all he cares about, and that's what Xavier Becerra is also going to care about too. Okay? And the only way we can stop this, get these laws repealed, eventually, is to vote for Steve Hilton. But I have to talk about this. Now, before I can talk about this, I'm going to talk to you about this. So, yeah, I know it is true that both Steve Hilton and also Xavier Becerra both advanced in the general election. But we need to talk about something here because, again, people on Twitter are now calling me a bot. Now, let me tell you something about that. I hate this. Okay? First of all, I'm a human, not a bot. Okay? Why are you calling me that, first of all? And I try to prove it to you. I have a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel and a BitChute channel. I make videos about the Bible and also some politics too, and video games. Why do you falsely accuse me of being a bot? This is not good. I hate this. It's because I'm repeating myself or something? And you think this is exactly what a bot will say? You're still stupid. You think I'm a bot. Okay? I'm a human, not a bot. I don't know why you guys think that. You guys call me a bot. I'll call you a bot and see how you like it. I hate this. Do you want me to call you a bot? I don't think you will like it either. But this is what's just making me mad about these people calling me a bot. I hate this. And you should know I'm a human. Come on. It's just, you guys just want to do is make me angry for calling me a bot, even though I'm a human. Guys, I hate this. Anyway, let's get down. Anyway, please stop calling me a bot, okay? I hate that. I'm a human who can think things, okay? And I have YouTube videos on Rumble and BitChute to prove it, okay? Stop false accusing a Bible-believing Christian of being a bot. Okay, you're just a false accuser, first of all, and I hate that. Okay. So they both advanced the general election. Okay. Now, yeah, it is true. There's some things I don't like about Steve Hilton, just like there's some things I don't like about Donald Trump either. And you know that's all we can talk about here. But I want to talk about why this guy is much worse than him, because he's going to do more of the same for California. That's why. And you know, you have to look at that. You know, talk about this guy. You know, and talk about Xavier Becerra. You know, he's going to do more of the same if he wins for governor in November. And I'm using the word if because I don't know who's going to win in November, because only God knows the future. But even though the people that live in California, they think all the winners are going to go to Xavier Becerra and not Steve Hilton, because they think the Republicans are never going to win California ever again, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger was Republican. He was governor of California. And then back then and then before that, back then we had Ronald Reagan as a Republican governor of California back in the 1960s. I know that. Just because of that. Well, first of all, why do you think that, first of all, let me get this straight here. Saying that the Republicans can't win California, it's just like saying the Democrats can't win Texas. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay? And let me tell you something about that. There are Democrat governors in Texas before. Okay? You guys, you know, I'm trying to tell you this. Saying that Republicans can't win California, it's just like saying Democrats can't win Texas. That's what I'm trying to say here. And I know there's Democrats, I know Texas had Democrat governors before, just like California had Republican governors before. So, I think you guys are very stupid of saying that. Now I want to show you the answer here. Yes, and Texas did have Democrat governors. The last one was Ann Richards from 1991 to 1995. That's the only, that's the last Democrat governor of Texas. Okay? Does that mean a Democrat can win Texas again? Probably. I believe so. If that's true, then a Republican can win California. For you saying that, first of all, and that's why. So you guys, I don't believe you. First of all, I believe what the Bible says. Okay, only God knows the future, and that's what I try to tell you guys. Okay, we don't know who is going to win for California governor until November. All we can do is, oh yeah, you can either do is not vote, or you can either vote and tell your friends to vote too, like I've been trying to do right now, because it would be better just to vote than not vote. I've been learning about that too, and my church been telling me is that you can't complain if you don't vote. That's what they told me anyway. Well, I still complain anyway. And you're right. If I don't want the Democrat machine to keep running here in California, because now they want to control us with the Digital Age Assurance Act and the social media ban, and also censoring 3D printing. It will have to time. Yes, it will be. And you have to get Republican as governors. And you're going to have to get a Republican governor for California. That's why. That's how we get here. That's how, So yeah, if you want the Digital Age Assurance Act or the social media ban or censoring 3D printing, and stop voting for the Democrat machine and start voting Republican if you have to. I know you guys don't want to try voting Republican, but that's probably what you have to do anyway. If you want to stop this control and you want to get the Digital Age Assurance Act repealed, and probably the social media banned, and what about the censoring 3D printing? AB 2047. Do you want to get that repealed as well if that becomes law? And when that becomes law in California? I think so. I think it's about to become law, but do you think we want to get it repealed? Well, yes. Because I don't like it at all. I hate it. Anyway, that's why I believe you should try voting Republican, even if you are a Democrat, okay? And hopefully some Democrats will listen. I do not say all the Democrats, because, look, because, I heard what Steve Hilton has said about this. He said he will work with Republicans and Democrats. So, yeah. So, he will work with Republicans and Democrats. That's what Steve Hilton will say. See, he wants the best for our Californians. That's what he wants to say. And I know he wants to make it affordable and restore the California dream. That's what he's trying to say here. And that is great and all, but you might need some help with the legislator to do that. I know that's why. Now, I don't know why. So, and yes, I know I'm angry at Chad Bianco for splitting the Republican vote, but I think that's over with now. Anyway. So what is happening in the Tijuana River? Well, let's talk about that now, anyway. But first, I want to show you something else. Oh, yeah, not, I think I want to show you something, so, yeah. I know, but I want to show you something here. I know, but I have to. I'm trying to find something. Oh yeah. Oh, on Twitter. Okay, let me show you on Twitter on Steve Hilton's Twitter's thing. Because he made something about Xavier Becerra. Let me show you. I'm gonna have to go to my Twitter account to see. Oh. Guys, I'll be right back. I'm about to log into my Twitter account anyway. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, I want to shoot this as well. Yeah, Xavier Becerra, more of the same. I'll read this too, because. But first, let's read about the sewage crisis first. Okay, now it is true. Now before that, it is true that both Steve Hilton and Xavier Becerra both say that they will declare a state of emergency when they become governor. Well, yeah, Steve Hilton said that, and then Xavier Becerra said the very same thing. Well, I'm gonna tell you why Xavier Becerra won't do it. Why? Because he's a stupid liar. That's why. Because Gavin Newsom didn't do it. Why Xavier Becerra thinks he will do it? Because he's a stupid liar. That's why. He can't fix anything. He hasn't even done a thing, and he gave homeless crisis an A. He hasn't done anything when he was HAS secretary, and I don't think he's going to do anything when he becomes governor. He's going to do more of the same, and also worse. He will support the Digital Age Assurance Act that got signed by Gavin Newsom back in October, and he also has support on the social media ban, and also has support on censoring 3D printing. That's what Xavier Becerra is going to have full support on. And the only way to repeal these terrible laws is to get Steve Hilton to become governor. I believe. Yeah, that's why. So let's read about this sewage crisis first, okay? Alright, so it says right here, kids are sick and people can't breathe. How San Diegos are responding to the sewage pollution crisis. Well, let's read about this. Billions have sewage enter San Diego crisis through the Tijuana River. Local leaders are speeding up the plan to clean up this public health. Welcome to Cal Matters, the only profit newsroom covering issues that affect all Californians. Sign up to What Matters. We need more issues in the Golden State. Now, San Diego leaders are trying to solution sewage pollution from the Tijuana River while investigating the scope of the problem. Committee advocates healthcare professionals and environmental experts on Tijuana River Coalition on Thursday offered updates on toxic pollution plagues in South San Diego. The outline efforts to fix it. Including the state legislation, clean up funding, and studies on health and economic impacts. Now, some of you folks know the longest standing on public health issues faced in the United States, said Courtney Baldisky, the vice president of the public policy advocacy at the YMCA of San Diego County. And the unique issue, it's on the border between Mexico and the United States, in the place thriving commerce and extremely unique ecological natural resources. But we all know that the community is a desire. It's worse than ever before. Sewage pollution from Mexico enters the Tijuana River and is sick in swimmers and surfers, affords beach closures and dangers, Navy SEALs, training in the Coronado. The river emits airborne toxins, including foul-smelling hydrogen sulfide gas, which causes breathing problems on other elements and neighboring communities. That air pollution is worsened in recent months when more unsafe air warnings, speakers said. So, county officials are getting the word out soon of the air quality declines. In the past, parents count hydrogen sulfide alerts after the children left for school, and now the county provides early loan of the stuffy of the advisor, the city county supervisor, Pomona Akuri. Now, this getting up this updates at 8 o'clock in the morning, she said. That's not sufficient when you're walking to school. And that's number one is text update of child breathing hydrogen sulfide of our office would of our country ensure that of our having folks get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and setting our alerts. Now, Seco County officials estimated to 12,000 air purifiers and also near the Tijuana River. Okay, scheduled said there are funds for more. Nothing that health officials recommend. One in every bedroom and every family is near the Tijuana River live the multi-generational homes. The county set aside $2.5 million of initial work to fix the problem hotspot on Saturn Boulevard in South Diego County, where pollution waters run the culverts that aerolize hydrogen sulfide and other pollutants, configuring the structure that could slow the water flow and keep toxins from becoming airborne. Officials requesting at least $25 million in the state of that improvement. The state of our state administration aims at a tighten of equality standards of free money, reduce pollution emitted by the river. Okay, so State Senator Steve Padilla and State Senator Catherine Blakespear, the Democrats from San Diego, and then that's introduced of the bill's visit of the hydrogen sulfide gas will require state office and environmental health hazards center to develop a threshold. Those oxygen and sulfide by January 2030, which will lower the state standard of the safe levels of nitrogen gas. The bill has passed the state senate, and we will vote for the assembly. The related bill will require the division of Glacial City and the health standards and protect health and safety of employees with exposure across board pollution of outdoor jobs, including lifeguards and park rangers who work near the Tijuana River. And some workers report headaches, fatigue, nausea, and bloody noses after exposure. Blakespear stated of the Senate committee hearing last month. The bill waiting for a final vote at the Senate Appropriates Committee. Same member David Alvarez and FS, the Democrat, administration to expedite from the California 2024 climate bond. Proposition 4, money into the bond measure of the fix of the Saturn Boulevard hotspot and submit air pollution from the river. County officials are conducting of the sewage public effects. Local school business and the Earth Survey of 2023, the County of the San Diego Regional Chamber, and the commerce of the 74% local business. The activity impacted of this 50% lost student revenue, Boltinsky said. Lost study of comprehensive. It said this is going to go through everything for 2 years, and how many kids missed school, and what they did to school funding. What about property values? Health studies are also in the works. Virginia Castellos, a school Bayside STEAM academy near the Tijuana River, Astoria, and this said the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency found the pollution increases of the information of the worst of the recent assessment systems in the children, while at the state University study showed that the air pollution exposure can either immune function. A San Diego County environmental study will look at how Tijuana River pollution affects residents' health by radioactivity, examining toxic exposure through hair samples, blood samples, and other tissues. Dr. V. Gayoin, a San Diego pediatrician, established a network of the local doctors and diagnosed the topic of the dog with pollution. Related health problems including ear infections, allergic rhinitis, skin rashes, and gastrointestinal problems such as diarrhea. She's also scaling the uptick of the illness such as kidney disease and drug-resistant RNA tract infections in teenage girls. San Diego will not be left behind. The South Bay cannot be forgotten, Guyan asked. My patients, especially the little ones at the Imperial Beach, San Cedro, Nestor, Berry Elementary, need to serve better. That's why I'm here, to continue to show up as community petition and the already of the state of California and the rest of the Californians need to. Yeah, I know I see that. And the Tijuana River sewage making air toxic, sickening thousands in California. So San Diego. So the smell of raw eggs in Steve Eggers' Southern California home, especially at night, nearby the Tijuana River, foams up the sewage of Mexico before emptying the Pacific Ocean. Eggers said he and his wife frequent headaches, and he can be considered a copy of Phil Langham of his home is outfitted hospital grade ventilation system and cycles of every 15 minutes. Despite those measures, most nights I breathe a horrible stench. He said it's awful. Since 2018, more than 100 billion gallons of raw sewage, laden industrial chemicals, and trash have poured into the Tijuana River. According to the International Boundary and Water Commission, the river traverses the land where the 3 generations of Eager family once raised dairy cows. The United States and Mexico signed an agreement last year to clean up the long-standing problem of the great wastewater plants to keep Tijuana's population growth waste owned by the companies. But in the meantime, 10,000 people are exposed by the sewage. Environment Problem Agency Minister Lee Zeldin said during February the visit to Diego will take about 2 years to resolve the nation's longest running environmental crisis, which affects largely poor Latino pollution. Raw sewage does not smell bad, but emits hydrogen sulfide, toxic gas, and it can erode neurons in the nose and trigger asthma attacks. It can cause headaches, nausea, delirium, tremors, cough, shortness of breath, skin eye irritation, and even death, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. The long-term health problems are only starting to be understood. There's no federal safety for hydrogen sulfide except for workers at elder risk of extreme, such as wastewater treatment plants and few more pits. A few states said, decades ago, but those are started. California proposed to require a state's 56-year-old state to reflect the health risk of the gas. In Texas, lawmakers are also constrained updating the state's law. I think it will look back at the bill of the first established, even reviewed. It was all about nuisance. And basically what the back door sent the California's bill author, Democrat Senator Steve Padilla, who represents the Tijuana River Valley. I don't think it's scientifically what impacts here. Now we do. Even if the bill passes, the new standard will not likely be developed until 2030. toxic gas, river sewage infuses the air. A stop the stink sign of the Eager fence was part of the campaign citizens of the Colonial Conversity launched at the dance officials clean up of the cross-border sewage. A 120-mile, 195-kilometer long river flows through the Mexican city of Tijuana, crosses into California, and empties to the ocean. The San Diego County beaches have been closed for years, and Navy SEALs who train the water have fallen ill. Just since January, the Tijuana River has carried 10 billion gallons of raw sewage and terrestrial waste across the U.S. border, according to the international boundary of water commission data. By the comparison of the massive pipe that ruptured in January sent 240 million gallons of untreated sewage into the problematic river. Affecting fluid, largely light communities, and large spill prompted of the federal intervention within weeks. In 2024, sampling by San Diego County by the CDC was spending of the roughly 40,000 households succumbed to close in Tijuana River. As found 71% of the smell sewage inside their homes, 69% of the members get sick from being exposed. Even at low levels, you're going to feel like it's in your sinuses. You can't get rid of the smell. It's going to get a customary irritation, said Ryan Sinclair, the Australian professor of epidemiology at Lorna Linda University School of Public Health. Even if you have said of the local state raised and likely to spill. In San Diego County, of the studio over 10,000 air filters to homes. But by the remains of the treat, the rivers of foam now are seen from space. Well, hydrogen sulfide and level 7 reservoirs. So back in December. Oh, these are closed again. I'm going to have to. So back in September 2024, Kimberly Prather, chemistry professor at the University of California, San Diego, team researchers installed air monitors in a neighborhood where Eager lives. Where they found them, the hydrogen sulfide concentrations were 4,500 times larger than typical urban levels, and 150 times higher than California's air standards. Wherever flows peak at night, many residents of Eager left medicated. They have been born in gas and told there's gas there that is a nuisance. It smells, but it's not bad, Prather said. She said the researchers have indicated thousands of gases coming in from the river that don't smell, but many of them are more toxic. Doctors are prepared to move. But his family roots run deep, and his wife grew up in Tijuana. His brother's family lived in the neighboring house was Eager Dairy, nearby the duplicated milk barn resting from the equipment. This is where I lived all my life with my family, parents, and grandparents, he said. This is my home. When Eager was a boy, he swam to that river, and he ran into the rainy season. Mostly filled with sewage and industrial waste. It goes year round. He says that the river would be restored in a historical route, which is closer to the border farther than the residents and schools. He believed it will not pawn clean hotspots of hydrogen sulfate gas. And less than half of Eager's home, the smell is overwhelming with diverse chutes and pipes after being forced to breathe the underground near Saturn Boulevard. Essentially called Saturn Hotspot, the stint of the predates passing cars with the windows up lingering inside of 4 days. When the river goes up, so the number of patients. Dr. Matthew Dixon and his wife, Dr. Kimberly Dixon, one clinic of the mile of the hotspot. Many of their patients with nausea, wheezing of the infections of the brain fog. Those with asthma saying their inhalers more when their air reeks. They say, I feel better, and when it doesn't smell outside. Dr. Kimmy Dixon said. Back in August 2023, a tropical storm caused the river overflow onto the streets when data doctors cast loads tripled. And then electronic health records confirm that doctors suspected when the river flows have jumped to the number of patients have treated the respiratory problems increased by 30%, they said. Every day that isn't fixed, Dr. Manny Dixon said, more people are going to get sick. Yeah, okay, then in your report from Los Angeles, yeah, I see that. But only Steve Hilton will fix it, is what I know is what I heard. Except for Sarah won't fix it, even though they both think it's emergency. Well, only Steve Hilton will fix it. Except for Sarah won't, because he's a stupid liar, that's why. And then I also got this. Oh yeah, this was on the news, huh? Yeah, of the government. Okay, yeah, before the government says shows a reserve 52% support among the likely forwards and held at 31%, and then 70% undecided. Yeah, but that's just more like undecided right now, and we don't know who's going to win until November. So. Yeah, it is true that California will be the first Latino governor in the modern era, whereas Hilton, the Republican side, had no prior government experience. Yeah, said says it's a vote for Hilton, it's a vote for Trump. Yeah, I get that, but. Right now, Stevens at 25% of the vote, while Becerra is probably at 28%. Well, okay, I didn't know about that. Yeah, but that's good to Well, I expect Becerra will do more of the same. So like Silver Dozier. This is from Steve Hilton from Governor.com. So Xavier Becerra running for governor is a record time of more of the same. Insane policies who make California less affordable, less accountable, and less functional. For more than 3 decades, elected office and the state is buying the the double HS Secretary Becerra offers no meaningful break from the status quo that driven up the housing costs, left streets unsafe, eroded from public trust, now cost. Becerra was more rapidly failed, argued to make job seat differences from Gavin Newsom. In his first time television interview, he dodged the specific questions of affordability and offered only vague promises and bad execution. On homelessness crisis, costed billions and gave Newsom. California's once changed, Becerra is going to continue the current course. The complainants. Becerra's central argument was experience. Yet former colleagues in the Biden administration describing him as unprepared, effective, and embarrassment of the routine of the presidential briefings. Nancy Pelosi reportedly warned that the White House before the appointment. Why should know that who are hiring? A former Doge communications director say that do not trust him in to lead California because he is not effective in government. Even inside the administration, Minister Policy Advisor Susan Rice reporting him, calling him a bitch ass and an idiot. Corruption. Becerra's political operation has been indicated of the federal fraud scheme involving the dormant campaign on account of his longtime chief and staff, who pleaded guilty and also tied the taxpayer fund of the operation of the government run of the contract programs, employing campaigners who range from document immigrants. Illegal, permanent residents, then endorses candidates like Becerra, though, of his political arm. So the failure is HHS Secretary. Becerra oversaw the system rushed, coming against MAGA children and sponsors of the payments of repeated international warnings, weak fed of the follow-up, federal inspectors of the document of the failures. Principal prize, winning of the investigation layer, revealed the children funneled of the erroneous labor, thousands of lost track of. The results and the stringent controls of the Biden administration as Attorney General, he also failed aggressively to take of the missing EDD unemployment fraud scandal, which involved over $11.4 billion in confirmed fraudulent payments. Becerra is not offering Californians relief from the policies that have failed them. He's asking them to be promoted to continue them. Yeah, I can get it. So Section 1 costs more than the same policies. California voters are struggling with the highest housing crisis in the nation. We're seeing homelessness and the cost of living crisis of driven families out of the state. And they want change. Except for Becerra is offering continually. In the first major television interview of the congressional campaign, lost of Elix Magnuson pressed Becerra repeatedly that he will do differently than Gavin Newsom. Addressed affordability, but Becerra said he had no specific policy answers. As the specific charges would make, you need to bring this from right to a table. Best experts there. Best scrub at whoever the left is, you need to work to clean it and survive. That's what you do. Magnuson has followed up asking for a policy change. Becerra offered none. The U.S. how the Becerra administration will refer to Newsom's. Becerra said, I'm only going to wait, he repeated, and grabbed that answer. Magnuson summarized that there is not a specific policy, specifically when I'm going to do things differently. We're going to move, we're going to do them faster, we're not going to wait. Becerra did not disagree. He replied, you've got to execute. We got to build, and we have to execute. The exchange lasted for several minutes. Becerra never identified a major policy break. Administration of the he seeks to replace. An argument without his campaign has been that California's problems stem from imitation, not from underlying agenda. That is not the reformer of the essential manager of the status quo. Okay. The few of the curves of the judicial debate were Greater Gavin Newsom's handling of homelessness the answer. At the time of the drug use, of the minis of the communist communities after billions of stand up the movement, Becerra, one of the current governors of top makes. Before his evident failure, Becerra was continuing. Yeah, okay, so this is a long, anyway, I'll keep reading, guys. I want to finish reading this. So Becerra positioned himself as a candidate from experience on the central challenges facing California: affordability, housing, homelessness, public safety, and experience of the public's no alternative vision. He is asking voters to reward more sustained policies, having the state accessible and less limbo for working families. Now, student complete. The Mazon and colleagues of his leadership. Becerra's campaign omits of the claim of including of the service as the HS Secretary. History of the former colleagues have been of the administration offered a disturbingly different assessment. Becerra prepared of the in terms of the governor's race, political former Biden administration reacted of the committee mockery and resignation. One former and as Becerra's candidate regrets of the biggest live of former Biden, last over charts and described the appointments of the HHS of government choice. One from administration, Mitchell described Becerra's briefing of President Biden this way. Where he go of the president will not prepared at all, will miss the point of the embarrassment. Former Justice of the Department of Communications of the city, Josiah. Publicly questioned Becerra's effectiveness and leadership. She said she did, but not trust any California, and he is not effective in government. Reports from inside the administration of the repair of the frustrations with Becerra in disputes over immigration, public health, and management of the department. But it's not knowable of the referring permanently defined by Senate Speaker Nancy Pelosi before Becerra. The duty of the DHS should know who you're hiring. International criticism went further, or according to XEO's reporting of this time by the Washington Examiner, former domestic policy advisor Susan Rice referred to Becerra as a bitch ass of the privacy, called him and privately called him an idiot. The harsh words and statement Becerra's alleged organs of secure and neutral space of the fragile migrant shelters of the which constitute a public readiness disaster which midgets overcrowded detention. The center serviced one meeting during one meeting of the President Joe Biden, which of the vented of the frustrations about Becerra. Rice of the Homeland Security Secretary of Alejandro Marquez reading, "Don't save them." The segments of the public opponents, they came from people that alongside Becerra, that came inside the Democratic administration. The Democrat of the central assignment of the experience, the private verdict of its own side damning, it reveals non-policy disagreements, fundamental questions of the permanence effectiveness, lead of the highest levels of government. The sinister corruption. Inside their politics of itself clearing. So Becerra prevents itself of the steering public servant. And the steer shows sheep of the integrity of the California's political establishment. Taxpayer funded agreement operations of the defense of the alliance between the public reasons of present power and Part A basket of the funded of scandal. In 2025, the federal prosecutors brought changes against the Silva senior California Democratic operatives and fraud scheme involving Xavier Becerra's dormant of the campaign account. Those among them were Sean Kometsky, Klitsky, Becerra's longtime chief, really one of the doctor political advisors, Dana Williamson, a federal operative who later became Gavin Newsom's chief of staff. Prosecutors aligned with the many from Becerra's campaign account was run through the ultimately remains but of Kometsky's household payments of the work that never performed. Kometsky later of a guilty conspiracy and bank of a fraud. Williamson also pleaded guilty. And saved an open because of the funds of the Becerra's were dormant campaign account or of the outside committee court. News of the reported is the arrangement of Kometsky saw more money of serving of chief and staff. Okay, it's good to continue for years because Becerra, because they declared on Becerra's own account and involved the closest side of the acquaintance about oversight what Becerra knew. The generated border concerns the company with Becerra's political organization, like a scrutiny of Archive's own operation. Now, Part P. Okay, Special Interest Network. Becerra is the candidate for California's entrenched political and economic interests. Being joined against stiff support, the major labor of his receive a significant backing or corporate of this strategic pacts in the California current governor's race. His endorsements include FACME District Council 36 California Professional Firefighters, State Council of Laborers, IBEW, International Lakeshore of the Warehouse Union Senior Leaders, FACW Western States Council, multiple building council. The Becerra frequently highlights or comes to union household. These relations reflect the National Democratic Coalition. Will also have with them the same intergroups of the shaped California policy for decades. At the same time, outside the groups supporting of the Becerra had drawn funding operations of the taxpayers of including Chevron, McDonald's, Tevia, California Resources Corporation, Meta and Health Insurance Interest, reporting commitments of spending of boosting Becerra from groups of real estate, energy business interest. Opponents have highlighted these corporate ties, evidence that Becerra presents a status quo rather than challenge a powerful interest. Okay, Becerra is not running against the system of the discovery. However, he is running a preferred successor. That's both organized labor and significance of elements of corporate establishment, a benefit of current regulatory and political environment. And Port C. Charla, taxpayer money, fundamental mobilization endorsed candidates. Becerra has been endorsed Charla of the fund, of the political of the coalition, human immigrant rights in Los Angeles. Charla itself has received overwhelming majority is funding California taxpayers, $72 million over the last 3 years, including $25.6 million in 2024 alone, according of the 62% of his taxpayer of this budget. Next for money of the project, of which is organized operations according to the chairman's own status for immigrants, of the permanent residents, of the repeating document of the contrast of the members between 7 times before election day. They built a public new folder base engineer from this phone of the day's politics. China's political armadors candidates, Becerra is one of them. In short, California taxpayers are funding an organization runs voter mobilization. Cashiers of the include undocumented immigrants. Organization has turnaround endorses candidates like a Savior Becerra. The significant operational overlap between Charla's charitable arm and its political arm. Let's say this group of directors serves as president on the board of the Action Fund. These two entities collaborate directly on the forward mobilization project. Their arrangement of raises serious questions whether taxpayer dollars effectively sizing of political activity and candidate support. The Section 4 failure. I'm going to try to schedule under Becerra's HHS. One of the most disturbing failures of Biden administration occurred under Xavier Becerra's leadership of the Department of the Health and Human Services as Secretary. Becerra oversaw the Office of Refuge of Settlement. ORR, the agency of the responsible housing, authority of the responsible replacing for placing a commissioned migrant children who entered the United States without a parent or guardian. During the border surge, ORR faced an enormous pressure of returning out of the federal custody quickly. The Service Department of the ISP international warnings raised the negative concerns of safety, and federal watchdogs identified serious weaknesses, and sponsor screening post placement follow-up of the agency coordination. Staff expressed the concerns. Speed was authorized over protection department of explorated payments anyway. The consequence predictable and severe. Children were released. Master of the agreement of the own. Agents as its own. Expected general leader or does not. Did not. But the basic of the city checks. Did not always obtain original disposal documents. And did not complete of the spirit post involved calls on time. The DHS Inspector General certainly recognized that no assurance that children were safe trafficking explained to our face labor of the release. The polarized winning New York Times investigation document at human cost. Migrant children who roamed at the pass through of the federal system, Becerra's department, went for work beyond factories, slaughterhouse, and construction, organized jobs under labor laws. The children lost track of the system, instead of the exploitation of the exploitation. This is not a track of the economic failure. This is a foreseeable result of the public decisions of the higher levels of part of the Becerra led. When serious warnings of the vulnerable children were raised, this response of the push harder rather than pause to strengthen safeguards. This is failure leadership, estimating consequences. The failure to address EWD fraud as Attorney General. As California Attorney General, Becerra also failed mount the aggressive response of the WED informant during the COVID-19 pandemic. Congressional investigations audits revealed that over $11.4 billion confirmed unemployment payments and total estimates that $20 billion higher according to the multiple analysis. Despite the repeating of the federal warnings about the vulnerabilities in the system, Becerra's office is the pair of the prosecutors and recoveries of the scale losses. Guardians of Labor Becerra, instead of the certificate of the state resources, is a lawsuit against Trump administration on the issues. The state and the province of the project California receive as this focus. Now here's the conclusion. So exhibitors are in California's promotion after a career defined by continuing policies, political arrangements that have. Okay, Mom, I will soon, Mom. I'm busy with something right now. Anyway, I want to keep reading this anyway. Produce the state current challenges. He has no pen apart from Gavin Newsom's agenda on issues that don't matter of most of the folders struggling affordability and quality of life. Even his former colleagues in the Biden administration, the question is effectiveness and preparedness. Even if things are very harsh, private language, and political operation has been touched by the federal fraud charges and involving closest aid of the campaign funds. He is connected to the networks, including taxpayer, organization running, voter mobilization, and cast players of the include undocumented migrants. A political arm endorses him. And Curtis Watch of the HSS of this of the submit of the project of children freedom and including his exhortation. The Attorney General and it's going to endorses EWD fraud. It's going to what they're prioritizing with other battles. Becerra is not running to fix what's broken in California. Is running to manage it. Its record shows the four consistent themes: cost incompetence, corruption, failure. More of the same, exactly what California cannot afford. Now, sources. Core findings agreement of the investigating of the fraud case, political reporting of Biden administration of years of the Washington examiners, of students, comments, quotes of the Alex Michael Center review of the Government International debate. The double HS and DHS, Expert General Reports. New York Times, Pulitzer of the Winter Investigation. Racial letters, of the audience on EWD fraud, $11.4 billion confirmed, fraudulent law from 990 affiliates of the Wingo Power Project, and it's of the video reporting, Cal Manners, reporting of the campaign, spending of the special backing Becerra, campaign endorsements, page of the public statements, ProPublica, nonprofit profiles. All claim are guarded of the primary documents, official reports of the direct quotations from credible reporting. So that's the Xavier Dozier message that Steve Hilton wrote about him anyway. You can read more. You can read it to yourself if you have to as well. But now we're talking about the sewage crisis. Why? Well, how will Steve Hilton will fix the sewage? If he becomes governor then. I want to know what he's going to do. That's why. And I could also do it here too on Google. That's probably not. So let's talk about the toxic sewage, right? So, right here. So Steve has declared a state emergency on the first day of governor. Justice Stewardship Crisis Administration of the governance. He's identified as a law entry sewage coming goes from Mexico, and primary issue that argues that current Governor Gavin Newsom is acceptable fraud and accept despite local demands. And I believe the exterior Becerra won't take care of this either. So that's why. Okay, Hilton frames of this crisis of the remote of the governance regulation of the drug spreading in California, approach of the current administration of the jurisdiction, while the single long-term destruction of this jurisdiction will not provide context. Hilton advises declares emergency, certain point of unlock the force of immediate action of the pollution for flowing in common state areas of the Navy SEAL Training Center in Coronado. Right, and here's what happened. So here's what Stephen do. Yeah, I got here's from Google. So if elected governor, Steve Hilton has played the state of emergency for the Tijuana River at the first day of office. Yeah, he will be. Yeah, if he wins for governor, he'll be in office on January 4th, 2027. Right? Yeah, that's when he will become. That's when he will take office. Yeah, he feels the declaration of necessary. Clemency of the bypass to standard of the regulatory hurdles will force aggressive immediate intervention of the cross-border sewage crisis. Hilton's strategy committed of the tackling issue include the emergency declaration. Hilton is committed of the state of emergency declaration day one of the unlock emergency resources. He argues that his necessary starting point will state of the federal action heavy of the obligation to govern Gavin Newsom. Okay, and then let's see of the student chemicals already to Mexico cannot solve his previous own parental instigators in Mexico arrangements signed Tijuana. Creation of the forcing of the certification of state funds. Organization 4 to radiate the toxic gas of the San Diego. Okay, so yeah, that's how. So that's how Steve Hilton will declare. He will declare the state of emergency. at the first day of office. That's what he will say. Hopefully he can fix this sewage crisis. Because that's what Steve Hilton did. Oh yeah, it is true that both Jamaica candidates both committed a state of emergency to over sewage. Yeah, they both did that, yes. But only Steve Hilton will do this. Will fix the problem, not Xavier Becerra. And because he's a stupid liar, that's why. And this dossier is proof of that anyway. So, like I've been talk about the sewage from the Tijuana River, but it does need to be fixed anyway. I know I don't live by it because I live in the state of Ontario, California, which is in San Bernardino County. And I know this is San Diego, right? Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah, of course it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be taken care of. If Steven does win as governor, hopefully he can fix it. That's why. But that has to be both of them right. So despite the political policies, both Xavier Becerra and Steve Hilton said they said they only could emergency to have a sewage crisis if elected. As a member of the coroner indicates invitation of the San Diego County report. Locally, the San Diego report supervisor of the from Imperial Beach acquire of this pushing state of the city of Democrats from a race of greenhouse budget, including Becerra, the Sweeney State video of the menu Republican of the Tijuana River announced that the state emergency. Okay, Hill said the state emergency. For Arizona and raw sewage, Mexico flowing or had to stop. Okay, Becerra office said City Boulevard hotspot occurred before seriously elected, but the former of her beach too much of the stairs during his visit. It said and something different in place for California media has been addressed a long time ago. In San Diego visit of the same day, Becerra said he was declared a state of emergency for the Tijuana River when it became governor. So Diego would take action. Instead, it's the emergency was a point of the winter conditions in the Tijuana River. California, and that the current California Governor Gavin Newsom won't do it. Gavin Newsom has not encouraged the emergency logo and said it's completely acceptable. And the Governor Newsom was maintained of the switch and then issued a court order to the federal government. It said estimated California $38.10 that was for 2019 as far as projects. On Thursday announced $46 million of this project of the chance of the Tijuana River sewage crisis. Congress repeatedly you can't solve a crisis of the federal failure or instead it was part of the commitments and the federal deliver of the community deserves of education to provide. Despite this, both Sarah Hilton and committed a multi-current state of emergency for the region, and these are addressed by the federal government, but the government service said, yeah, okay, I see that, but I believe only Steve Hilton will fix it. Because Xavier Becerra won't do it, because I know he's a stupid liar, that's why. He's part of the Democrat machine, that's from Gavin Newsom anyway. And if you want to help with the campaign on the vote, you can go to reformcalifornia.org from Carl DeMaio. Anyway. And if you want to fight against agefication, you can go to veterinarianbills.com for that. And if you want to know how to go to heaven, you can watch my How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble. Or you can also, and yes, and you can also watch on BitChute if you want to, anyway. Oh. So you can watch my How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble. And you can also watch it on, or you can also watch it on BitChute if you have to, anyway. So, I think my next video also about California banning surveillance pricing. I'll talk about that next video anyway. Because I have to go right now. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Say goodbye. Adios. Zaijian.